Now we have a fireside chat on performance marketing for D2C brands in a privacy woke world. This conversation will touch upon points like how are D2C brands planning to circumvent the challenge of data collection, consumer insights, and targeting in their marketing strategy. Can D2C brands create distinctiveness and credibility through performance marketing? Are D2C brands also exploring Web 3.0 using Metaverse, NFTs, in their digital marketing strategy, etc. I would like to invite Satyajit Sen, Head of Product and Community at ET Brand Equity, to lead the conversation. Over to you, Satyajit.
Hi everyone, welcome to the next session of the day, which is on performance marketing for D2C brands in a privacy woke world. The e-commerce industry has spent 2 decades building a huge, complicated set of tools and systems that track and analyze what their consumers are really doing on the internet. Digital marketing for this category has been built on the backbone of performance marketing with the help of third-party data and rented relationships. The process of tracking and retargeting a consumer used to work fine till now, until some of the big tech companies and platforms around the world took an unilateral decision to change the way data is being collected. As D2C brand owners, one might still be relying on third party data without really realizing the precarious situation it has put the brand in. And now it is the time to think on how to grow the D2C business differently and build stronger relationships. Today, we are thrilled to be joined by an illustrious panel of experts who will be discussing these challenges pertaining to the performance marketing scenario for a D2C category and what's the way really is forward. It's my great honor to welcome my panelists here. I would like to introduce Ms. Vanda Perao, Head of Marketing at Fresh to Home. My next panelist, Mr. Himanshu Tandel, Head of Marketing Strategy, Growth and Revenue at Madhusparsh. And my next panelist is Mr. Chirag Taneja, co-founder and CEO at GoQuick. So welcome panelists, and thank you so much for taking out time for helping us and our audiences really understand how performance marketing is shaping up for B2C brands in a world which we really call the world product. Right. So let me start this discussion, with the two D2C players that we have in the panel today. So I'll start with Vanda here. Vanda, with Google planning to bid adieu to third-party cookies, how are you as a brand, planning to circumvent the challenge of data collection, consumer insights, and targeting in your marketing strategy?
Thank you, Satyajit, for the question. We can't ignore it, right? We are reading everywhere about, Google stopping third-party cookies, etc. So all of us are bracing ourselves to see the implications on it. I mean, to say how dire it is. So at Fresh to Home, we're the world's largest backward integrated fresh meat and seafood company. We go directly to consumers. We do an order every second. So it's a huge scale which we're actually running. And also, given that it is fresh meat and seafood with shelf life limited, and all the demand generation mostly happens through digital platforms, we are quite, we are wondering how this will impact us. But for us, the exposure is less because our dependence on web is less. We have our own platforms, app, etc. So that's the first point. This being said, I think we can't negate the fact of, the implications. So I would like to make 3 points. The first thing is, Google is an advertising behemoth. And this is considerable revenue which actually comes. While they have said 2023 is when it's going to get implemented, I really believe that they are not going to let ad revenues drop, and they are also going to provide advertisers with solutions to be able to manage the entire demand generating process. And also, I liken it to something of the iOS 14.5. While there was a lot of worry out there, I mean to say, Apple did it really well, the entire transition. They had a solution also. And they've come up with really good products as we actually see. We use Apple Search right now. So, it's not been, the ground has not fallen under us. So that is one. I think there will be a solution. Let's wait and watch to see what is going to happen. The second point is about us getting very using our first party data very strategically. Uh, since we own our platforms, right, to see how the data will be culled and insights will be generated from our own data, the first party data. So getting all this in place, getting data collection tools, reading insights, etc., we'll have to be actually very on it. The third point is that there are certain channels which will actually open because of this. So I see a growing resurgence also on email marketing. It was off neglected right now but I think as a channel, this is really going to come up again, and reaching the consumers, getting your conversions, interacting with them. I think there'll be a resurgence of this. So overall, I think the key points are use your first party data very strategically. Wait for Google to actually share a solution, because the ground will not fall. And see, Mozilla Firefox didn't support cookies from 2013, right? So I mean to say, it's not like Y2K. I think there will be a method to this. So using all these tools which we actually have, we can actually sustain and carry on.
Yeah, thanks, Wanda, for the opening remarks. And I think you said it right. I mean, it's something that is already there. I mean, as you mentioned about Mozilla and the transition that Apple has been through, right? I have been speaking to a lot of marketers at large, and one thing that they relatively and regularly mentioned was that it will bring around a behavioral change in the way digital marketers actually go about performance marketing. I really want to come to Himanshu here. Himanshu, we have heard Wanda about speak about the three factors that are really key in shaping the performance marketing future for a B2C brand. What are your points? And also to add on to it, right? Do you really see marketers going through a certain behavioral change in the entire journey of planning their marketing initiative when it comes to performance marketing for a B2C brand?
Yeah. So Satyajit, as Vanda defined about the privacy first world in the coming future, let's say for the next 2 years, Google is coming up with majority of the changes. And after that, recently, like because of the iOS update, there was a major hit in terms of the ad revenue also when it comes to the Facebook. Okay, so what I believe, in terms of all the new challenges, we have good amount of opportunities also. So, okay, so since like Google is coming up with the privacy sandbox, so that is also going to be a good amount of innovation in terms of the marketing, and there will be new form of, you can say, when it comes to the tracking different users and attribution modeling, all those things are going to change in a new way. So the approach will be same, but the manner, or you can say the way, will be new in terms of tracking different consumers, as well as let's say tracking the data points. Definitely privacy after this iOS update, we are not able to like track multiple stuff in the iOS area, but yeah, when it comes to the Android, still we are able to do multiple stuff. And when it comes to the consumer insights and all, I think first party data is already giving us good amount of insights. And if we leverage the first party data strategically, automatically I think organizations are not going to get that kind of a big hit. But yeah, there is a good amount of I should say challenges in terms of the future marketing world. And when it comes to the I believe first party data as well as the retention marketing, WhatsApp marketing is also one of the major channel where we are seeing good amount of response, parallelly neck to neck competing with the email marketing. So yeah, that is my take in terms of the future marketing.
Great. Thanks, Himanshu. I think both of you brought out very important points about email marketing and WhatsApp marketing. And I think due to this entire change in data collection scenario, I think there are new areas where digital marketers will really experiment their marketing dollars so far as brand marketing is concerned. So we definitely go towards that and talk about the new areas. But for that, I really want to come to Chirag here. Chirag, we have heard two marketers speak about, the entire change in the scenario that one is anticipating as far as performance marketing is concerned, right? Uh, you have been, and Gopik has been a preferred partner for brands, especially e-commerce brands, when it comes to, creating retention, using data to understand the consumers better. What has been your experience? Are your partner brands really worried about the change that the entire world garden scenario is coming up with?
Thank you, Satyajit. So just to begin with, I think if we look at the customer backward view, this privacy world wherein identity is going to get deprecated is I would say a welcome move, was about to happen. People were timing it. We all know, I think Vanda mentioned a browser which was there. There is a Brave browser also which exists. So there have been attempts, but I think now is the time when Apple really pulled the plug. And now I think we're moving to a world where at least identity is going to get deprecated and the world is going to become a little bit different, I would say. Right. Now, and I, mostly agree with some of the comments made by my fellow panelists in terms of newer channels emerging, whether it's WhatsApp, whether it's email, getting renewed, push, those things. But, the way at least I look at the problem statement is that one part is that what is going to happen to the measurement, right? Wherein we were so used to doing micro segmentation, very fine targeting, etc. Now that's moving to aggregate. So that's one change which is happening. Second is that, are you getting first party data? Which is, I would say D2C brands are beautifully placed. We have been saying this, forever, that this is a strategic channel, even for large consumer product brands. Now everyone is realizing that, wow, how it will become very, very important. And, not only D2C, but I see very newer plays emerging. So for example, CPG companies are thinking of online now as a channel to do sampling to get first party data. Right. So that's the importance of first party data, which D2C brands by design have it, right? Which is the beauty part of it. And then is that how can you use this data to model audiences, to build newer things? That's where I think a lot of investment will happen now, wherein CRM, CDPs, those are the places which at least I have seen are under leveraged. And that's where you will see a lot of investment going to happen. If I talk about, second part of your question, if I talk about how are marketers feeling it, how is the market feeling it? I think still early, as Vanda said, that we would look at advanced economies in terms of giving out a solution. And there are some early signs, what Himanshu said, data clean rooms, privacy sandbox, all of these things are emerging. So rest assured that I think we will have a solution in place. Rightly said by Vanda that, Google and Facebook both have significant, or they are ad behemoths. So they will figure out a solution. However, what I think is now what is going to happen is that you will see some amount of newer tech stacks starting to offer newer kind of ad exchanges, which will bridge the gap between what Facebook would require and what first party data could do. So the space is emerging. I don't think we have a clear answer yet, but we are seeing some good movements there.
Right. Answers to emerge soon, Chirag, I'm sure. So, Banda, I'll really come to you here. You mentioned about how, marketers are looking at, as Chirag said, the developed economies to really find an answer to, the entire world garden scenario here. I really want to ask you, and then follow it up with a question to Himanshu as well. Some of the best practices that, one can really, point out in terms of usage of first party data and then creating an entire performance marketing roadmap for a brand. If you can share some insights on that.
In terms of first party data, I think a lot of insights and learning is what we actually should see, because we actually know how the consumer reacts, where he's coming from, etc. Understanding and building for the future when this privacy thing gets into play also, I think we'll get the data, but as Chirag said, that it'll come under a tab, all the publishers will be aggregated. For example, if I advertise on Times of India and Hindu right now, I know how it, my impressions per publisher, but this will now be aggregated, which so I have to learn and decode those leads. So I think going on, we will, I think, move to certain channels which we have control on, and the D2C, I mean to say, ecosystem, since we have the beauty of this data primarily, we'll continue doing it, and we'll just get better at reading aggregated data, is what my read is. But I think time will tell. And as I said, also, it's a very futuristic view you're asking me on. I think time will also give a lot of answers to us. But in terms of preparation, I think really ramping up email marketing, as Himanshu said, also WhatsApp marketing will really get a lot of focus right now. So I think, yeah, that's my take.
Great. I would want to stay with you, Wanda, here, and basically, since you brought up the point about newer forms of marketing, like I mean, email is not really a newer form, but it's kind of making a comeback here, and Himanshu mentioned about WhatsApp marketing. Couple of trends that we are really looking at, and we are really hearing marketers gung ho about our Web 3.0, Metaverse, NFTs, right? So according to you, how have these trends emerged in the world of digital marketing, and how do you really see D2C brands using these formats in their overall digital marketing strategy? And also, if you can share some inputs about, is Fresh to Home at all planning to go in that direction?
Yes, thanks. I mean to say, I'll give my 2 bits on this futuristic marketing. So with respect to Web3, right, there's so much of buzz out there, but I would like to go back to Elon Musk's tweet when he said, Web3, like, has anyone seen Web3? I have not seen it. It got a lot of attention because there's so much of buzz, right? So if the Web1 was all about, read only, where we were scrolling through, Web2 was also interactive, where you could do content, you could read and also, post stuff and see in far more attractive forms like Facebook, etc. So Web3 for us is a completely new ecosystem where everything is decentralized. So I think it's based on the tenets of distributed computing and also inscription. But there is a lot of criticism for this also, because you can't control it, right? You've seen in India also how our rules of crypto have actually come about. But the verdict is out of how this thing will actually shape. With respect to NFTs, my read is, right, they show you a lot of, I mean to say, they tell you about the person. Since this is so expensive, right? When a person has this, right, it tells you something about the personality. So I was reading about this thing on Zoom. They were thinking of collaborating with Rolex. So in a Zoom meeting, when you're actually in the waiting room and you have this, say it's Vanda and, owner of XYZ NFT, this also tells you. So this is like your badge, you enter or not enter. I was seeing the use case of maybe on Tinder or maybe on Shadi.com, right? We actually use our NFTs to be able to tell people. And this is a very woke thing. You said woke marketing when you actually started. So relevance to Fresh to Home, I said, maybe we can come out with an NFT for a very rare fish, right? We are in that business. So something along the lines of that, but we are thinking about it. And in terms of the metaverse, I mean to say, every brand out there wants to put out things which bring to life. I mean to say, you have seen weddings happening, the first Indian wedding happening. There was Tata Tea who did a really brilliant activation out there. So we can't ignore it. Now we have to also see what our brand proposition is and how do we use the metaverse to be able to engage with people, with your audience right there. And see, as time goes, right, these things will be adopted very, very fast. So you can't be left behind. So I think day in, day out, you'll actually have to see implications, make that experiment, take that first jump and see actually how it works for you.
Himanshu, I would want to come to you here, right? And your take on, Web 3.0, Metaverse, NFTs, along with the new behemoth that is emerging called the social commerce.
Sure. So I think I personally am very much excited about the mixed reality part, all the metaverse. Though I think there is a long way to go right now. But yeah, I think in terms of the mixed reality, or you can say the metaverse, people will be interacting with each other in all the virtual environments. It will be easy to sell multiple things. So I think it's good for marketers also. But yeah, there is a long time to go for this kind of technology when consumers are actually adapting, you can say, NFTs or the metaverse. But a good amount of innovation is happening, and let's see how the future exactly, what exactly it lies. But I think it's a very futuristic kind of a thing right now to say. Maybe after 5 years or 10 years, but a good amount of innovations, and metaverse definitely, I think lots and lots of brands. Recently, H&M came up with some sort of concepts around the metaverse. They have created all their virtual shops and showrooms, and people buying out some stuff over there. So yeah, and in terms of the social commerce, I believe like that is already picking up. So content to commerce, or you can say social commerce, it's doing really good, and lots and lots of brands are also trying to come up with some sort of their own application concept where they can create a community of people, and automatically people can interact and buy a certain set of products over there.
Great. Thanks, Himanshu. So, Chirag, I really want to come to you here and understand from your point of view, right? So, you have been interacting with a lot of brands across categories, I believe, more than, and I mean, beyond D2C as well, right? So, what has been your assessment of, marketers really putting the question on the new, kind of, technologies that are emerging, right? We're talking about Web 3.0, metaverse, NFTs, as well as social commerce. And what, according to you, do you see would really lead the kind of future, in that sense that we're talking about, right? So as to performance marketing is concerned.
Sure. I'll separate this into two. One is how is the technology looking, and then how are marketers placed. So technology, I would say, is very, very nascent. Still, I would say, if I have to give a parallel, this is like 1995 e-commerce. That kind of a stage where it's a new disruptive technology which has potential to disrupt a lot of things which exist today, but still very, very early. From adoption point of view, at least the way at least I look at the NFT crypto world is that it will have high usage in gaming, in some of these use cases, and then further adoption will happen to other sectors. When it comes to the second part of the question, when it comes to marketing, marketers have always wanted newer, engaging platforms, ideas, right? We've always, in the past, I have worked with agencies wherein we've always given them this brief of that, you need to come up with an innovative idea, etc., etc. So this is a platform which itself is disruptive, which has the potential to be used. So from a marketing point of view, I see a lot of marketers jumping and trying to do experiments on this. However, from a budget perspective, I don't see more than 2-3% of budget being parked on this. So it will be experimentative to learn to position yourself as an innovative new age brand. Those are the kind of experiments which will happen. And brands who would do these kind of experiments would of course maintain a lead with others, will be seen as customer first, all that. Coming to social commerce, totally agree with Himanshu and Vanda that social commerce is happening, and we've all seen in China how it has become mainstream. At least my big view is that there are going to be at least one, maybe two influencer-led marketplaces in our country. When that happens is a question of time. But I see a lot of startups now starting to attack that space, wherein influencers and live commerce has become a very, very new thing now. At least I see, when I'm roaming around, I see a lot of Facebook feed being live commerce now. But there is a gap in terms of how do you make live feed to commerce. And that's where we see the gap that definitely commerce is moving closer to content. And there is going to be a lot of opportunities for technology players, for marketers, in terms of bridging that gap. In terms of, let's say, building out a feed which can be run natively, or it can be in terms of order processing, that how can you, not take the user to the storefront, which is in our part of the world is known as headless commerce. So the world is moving towards that, wherein you are not going to transact only on storefront, which is in some way was web 1. Now you're saying that you can shop anywhere. So imagine yourself that you're watching a video on YouTube and you like something and you nod your head and the order is placed. So that's where we are headed, and it's not far. I would say, I would stick my neck out and say that it's going to happen much earlier than we're going to see NFT metaverse kick off. So that's my take.
Great. So, staying on that, futuristic approach, I would really want to, round up this discussion by coming to my, panelists here and basically doing a quick fire kind of a round where we, in bullet points, where we kind of, try to crystal gauge the future as far as performance marketing for brands is concerned. So I would start with Vanda here, Vanda first. So basically, your take on what are the trends that you really foresee emerging so far as performance marketing for any brand is concerned.
Sure. I think I'll summarize saying that in terms of performance marketing for us, first party data is very important. Evaluating channels like WhatsApp and email marketing also will really help us push the needle. Third is understanding data on an aggregate level rather than individual level is what insights will come from. I go to what Chirag said is all these newer possibilities which we've discussed for that will also it's going to be the future, right? But we'll obviously take baby steps. So it started how digital was many years back. You allocate 2-3%, then it becomes your entire bit. So we'll also do our experimentation, and slowly we'll start actually getting onto these things. In terms of, he said, commerce is moving to content. I think how these newer age things like Metaverse or NFTs, in my mind, use case will be they'll give you an experience of the brand. For example, for us, after our app install, you register. If you have the metaverse out there and you allow the consumer to live and breathe the brand, right? He can make his own chicken dish. He can see the farms where chicken is coming from, or the harbors where fresh fish is loaded onto the docks. So that is also going to help in conversion, which therefore will help in e-commerce. We can also do contests because all our early adopters are millennials who are bereft of time, right? So NFTs is going to be a huge play. So therefore, if you run a contest and you have an NFT of a rare fish, I mean, so that's going to get, considerable amount of interest there. So this is how I actually visualize the entire, movement actually panning out.
Great. Thanks, Vanda. So, Himanshu, your take, what's the future looks like from your point of view?
So I think in terms of all, specifically if I talk about performance marketing, which we use as a primary channel in terms of the major new customer acquisitions. So with the lack of data, I think tracking definitely that is going to be one of the biggest challenge. After that, I think attribution modeling in understanding the different attribution models, I should say there is going to be good amount of innovations which is going to happen in the coming years. So, after all this privacy first world, at least we get some sort of predictive insights that how exactly things are moving in the overall ecosystem. So that is one part in terms of the performance marketing. And if I talk about the futuristic technologies like Metaverse is there, or, crypto or blockchain is coming up. So definitely Metaverse, there is a good amount of scope in terms of the innovation at a brand level, that how exactly we can, interact with the consumers in the new age world. And blockchain, once again, I should say, when it comes to the NFTs. So in terms of the blockchain, I should say in e-commerce also, tokens and all those kind of things are going to happen.
Great. Chirag, we really want to complete and understand how the future really looks like.
I think my fellow panelists have already summarized this nicely in terms of newer channels emerging. How should we look at first party data more cohesively, invest in CDP CRMs? I'll probably take a step back in terms of how do I look at performance marketing is, and while newer channels, newer challenges will continue to emerge, we should, at least I like to describe this as that we should be in the business of shooting bullets before cannons, right? So be in the experimentative mode wherein one, you have newer channels, You will have newer data opportunities come your way. You will have metaverse type opportunities come your way, right? So how do you keep a experimentative budget which is more than let's say a traditional CPG brand would have in marketing, and use that to explore new channels? As Vanda said that both of them said that there are going to be newer channels. I'm sure that there are going to be newer channels which are going to emerge. So, for example, Google Pay couponing is emerging as a very new channel now, right? So those are the things which will continue to emerge, but you have to be in the experimentative mode. And second, a little twist to the topic of the discussion, but what I believe is that performance marketing is not the cure-all for everything. It also gets plateaued beyond a point. So if anyone says that, I can build the business by only doing performance marketing, that's not true. However, it's a great place to start the business, do early experimentation, find your audiences, etc. I think brand marketing coupled with performance marketing does really elongate the curve in terms of efficiency, in terms of overall effectiveness of marketing as a function to growth. So that's how I look at it.
Great. Thanks, Chirag. I think, on that note, we have summarized it well. So marketing, 360 marketing, which includes both performance and branding still remains the answer to a lot of marketers out there. So I think, we have really, summed it up well, like, trying to look at the future of how performance marketing is going to shape up in this world, which we are really looking at in terms of privacy, in terms of the world garden that they say is being created by the technology giants. So I would really like to thank my panelists here, Vanda, Manshu, and Chirag, for joining us today. I'm sure this is a very dynamic space, and we will be meeting soon to discuss the newer developments in this area. Until that time, thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chandel, Mr. Taneja, and Satyajit for such an interesting and meaningful conversation. With that, we'll move to the next session. Stay tuned and keep tweeting using the hashtag #LeadWithDigital.